What's up, y'all? It's Dr. Paul. The day is finally here. We're getting ready to start reassembling Noah's Superman number 9 from 1940. What I've done is I have the front cover and the back cover. As you know, they're separated at this point. I have them with the reverse up or the versa up. This piece here is still connected here. We knew exactly where this was because it stayed connected for quite a while, as did this one. So we know the orientation of those. I've gone back through the video to confirm the orientation of these pieces. So these two, this and this, these are all loose. And what we're going to do today is we're going to mend this back together. So this is one cohesive page. And what I've done is I have my craft mat. I've got this edge laid out very carefully here and here along these two lines. I have some Hollytex underneath. And I know exactly how wide this needs to be. I have this bottom edge aligned here with the same line that this page is. And then I know how wide this needs to be here. I know that this piece here needs to bridge perfectly that page and that page. There's nothing missing. It's a nice sharp edge. I also know exactly how wide this page is supposed to be. This is the first wrap of the book. So this would go this way. So that means these two pages here are aligned, and it needs to be exactly the same width, which you can see I've done. So we are ready to put these back together. We're going to be using Tengujo paper that I purchased from Talus. I don't have a sponsorship or anything with them. It's just the best source that I've found. I use what they call thin paper, which I believe is actually their intermediate Tengujo. So it's the 5 grams per square meter. I've already pulled a piece of that to use today. And the other thing that we're going to do while we're here, we have this rip. We're going to go ahead and mend this. The step after this will be, once this is all dry, we'll flip it over. We'll add all those pieces on the obverse that are missing. So first step here is going to be wetting this. And what I'm going to do is spray it, but I'd like to keep it reasonably well aligned here. I know that when I spray this, I might get these pieces moving and even see it's curling. These things are all part of what you just have to deal with, which is why you never do this work when you're in a hurry. I'm going to go ahead and just spray these knowing that they might move around a little bit. That's okay. The big thing is that I have my fingers bridging the orientation of these two pages. And I'm also I'm wetting the edge because I really want to tie these two pages to where the Tengujo is at. All right. For now you see this edge is shifted. I want to just try to lay it back down. This edge is shifted too. That's okay. As that moisture wicks through the page, wicks through the I want to keep this edge if I can. I'd like to keep both edges oriented. And then we'll push this excess back into the center. There, like that. Oh, I found it works reasonably well. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, I just want to lift that. The paper is so thin. Get something underneath here to unfold this. There we go. There we go. Okay. Pretty close. All right, we still have a little bit of waviness, still a little bit of unevenness in the amount of water here, so I'm going to try to just come back and get a little bit more saturation. Okay. Now, got this pretty well down. I've got this edge pretty well down. We're going to manipulate these pieces a little bit. Pretty straightforward. Okay, I think we have a little bit of folding here. Yep. We're going to unfold that to the best of our ability. That's that paper going back to the state it was in for so many years when it was folded underneath the double layers of tape. All right, we know that this piece goes just like that. Okay. That's pretty much final the way we want it. I think this is all final already, just how we want it. We might want to adjust this just a little bit, and I do think we have a bit of paper up in here that's folded under itself. And I just want to be very careful with this. I'd like to get it unfolded. Do I absolutely need to get it unfolded? Not really. I'm going to have Tengujo on both sides of this, and we're talking about a fraction of a paper thickness here. This isn't even full thickness paper. So it's not going to change dramatically how things line up or what we're doing. Okay, but I got it out there and there. Yeah, okay. Good. So, this piece should be slid up just a little tiny bit. That tiny gap there should be closed, and I think this should come down a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. So now you see how everything's lined up. It's pretty well stuck down now, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more water, just to make sure it's all saturated. And then we'll turn our attention to what we're going to do with the Tengujo paper. I want to make sure this is flat everywhere. I think our paper's expanded just a little bit with being wet, because it's just a little bit fat on this line here and just a little bit there too. That will contract back up when it dries, but I think we've got it now where we want it. I showed you that I pre-ripped some Tengujo. This is not cut. This is the factory cut end here. These are all the surfaces that I ripped. That's the correct way to cut Tengujo, is actually to rip it. So I want to get a relatively fat part there so that we're bridging that gap. So I think the best way to do it is this way, so that we're bridging that gap up there really well. As you see me do this before, I'll put the Tengujo down in the middle and then I go outwards, away. And you see when it's wet, it's basically transparent. It's hard to see where the edges are. Don't worry about this, we'll trim it off later. Same down here. Okay. So now we're going to apply methylcellulose glue. This is the pre-made glue that I mixed up, and I've just mixed it up per the manufacturer's instructions. And from time to time I will re-stir it, because over time this will settle. This is from Line Co, and I do have an affiliate link down in the description of this video. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to spread this methylcellulose. I'm using the incident light so that I can see the edge of the Tengujo paper. And I'm mixing it a bit with the water that already is here. So it's going to become a little less pasty, a little more water-like. That'll help draw it down into the Tengujo and the comic. Now note, I put it down in the center and then I draw it out away from the center. And I do this specifically because as I approach the edge of the Tengujo, I want to be pulling all those little fibers flat down against the paper. I don't want to rub back this way and take that fine edge of all those little broken fibers, which are supposed to have a whole bunch of surface area and should grab really well. And I want to push them back up and bunch them up over here. I want to spread them out so that they have maximum adhesion on this edge. So that's my goal. That's why I put it down in the center. Then I pull it out toward the edge. And we want to work relatively quickly, but we're not in a big hurry. That's why we got everything nice and wet to start. And that's why we did all of our prep beforehand, so that we would not be in a rush to complete this work. exciting to get to this point with this book. We've been with this book for a long time. I appreciate the folks that have been following the whole story. We've had some folks who thought we should not have removed the tape from the book, that we destroyed it, maybe, or that we made it worse. I guess they think because it looks superficially better, even though we knew it had that cancer of the tape, that over time that tape would have definitely destroyed the book. That was non-archival tape. But it did look superficially better. I understand where they're coming from, understand what they were, the issue they had. And to each his own. It's one of the great things about, well, any hobby. One of the great things about America, we can all have our own opinion on the best way to do things, and as long as we're not hurting our neighbor, we can live our lives the way we see fit. Freedom. Obviously, the most important opinion here is the opinion of the owner of the book. In some ways, it's the only opinion that matters. And Noah and I had discussed what we wanted to accomplish with this book. And so I'm following his wishes. And as I said, that's clearly the most important opinion, maybe the only opinion that matters. All right, I feel pretty good about that. So you notice very systematically how I approach this. So this side we've done up to that parting line, and that way we'll start in this bottom, and we will go from that parting line to the left and up. And again, you probably can't see it from your angle, but I'm using the fact that I have good incident light here to, I'm going to try to just normalize some of the water here. So I have similar amounts of water everywhere in this paper. That'll help when I do go to dry it. It'll help it dry a little bit more uniformly, and it'll help with the dimensional stability here. So that we don't have rippling of the paper while we're working on it. Just noticed, because I was commenting on how I'm using the incident light, I just noticed that I did have a few puddles over here, and I'd rather not have puddles on the paper right now. I want the whole thing to be nice and uniformly damp without sort of like standing water. That'll help me a little bit to see the edge that I'm trying to glue with the methyl cellulose as well. All right. And it'll help to pull the methyl cellulose into the paper as well by capillary action. I want this edge to be able to absorb the methyl cellulose, so we can kind of control where the glue, where the adhesion occurs with the glue. For those of you that are watching because you want to practice these techniques or you're thinking about trying them, one of the things that I'm not able to capture really well here, but I think you'll see and you'll learn if you practice these, is I am using incident light here. And you can see actually quite well, even though I'm sure from your angle, this Tengujo at the moment is all transparent. You can't see where that interface is, but my head is over here. I'm using incident light, and I can see, especially now that I have this page just damp, where I've blotted the water, the standing water off of it, I can see very well the exact interface of the Tengujo paper here. So I'm trying to glue up to it and a little beyond. And I can see my line as well of where I've already been with methyl cellulose, and I can see that quite well. So don't worry about that. Matter of fact, there, I was just doing what I told you I don't like to do. Just feathering some of this methyl cellulose into the paper because I don't want like a glob of methyl cellulose on the paper where there isn't Tengujo. Not that it'll matter all that much. This methyl cellulose gel is sort of like Jell-O in that it's a protein in solution, right? It's like 98% water by volume, so as it dries, it's just gonna disappear. There'll be the tiniest imperceptible film of methyl cellulose on the paper if we have methyl cellulose on an area where there is no Tengujo. So that's certainly not anything we are worried about. It's a little bit, it may have a slightly different sheen to the rest of the paper, but probably not, on account of we had methyl cellulose in our aqueous bath, so this paper should have the correct sheen anyway to match with having just a little bit of methyl cellulose on the surface. All right. I'm just again gonna feather this very edge. Always pulling away from the center. I'm really happy with that. Then we'll come back. I'm very gentle right now with the brush. I'm really happy with this side. This page was a bit drier, and I think that just set up slightly better. This has a couple of ripples in it. I think we're gonna be fine, but this side worked out just a little bit better. While we're at it, we're gonna go ahead and mend this rip, and then we're gonna get this dried up. So on a tear like this, you actually don't need that much Tengujo, and if I had a book that didn't have this massive repair, I would use a really small piece here. But I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of overkill here since we're gonna have Tengujo on the outside of this book as well. So I'm gonna take it a bit past and a bit wider than I kind of would normally do. So again, I'm putting it down on the center of the tear, and then I'm outward from there. Gonna spread the Tengujo down. I'm going to use the same technique. I'm going to put my methyl cellulose here. And I guess it should be obvious, but just in case it isn't, whenever we can, we want to use the Tengujo paper on the inside of these repairs so it's not obvious. I mean, here, I could have put this Tengujo paper on the outside of the book to mend this tear, but it's less obtrusive here, right? So that's how we want to do it. Sometimes you need structural integrity from the Tengujo, and you don't have a choice. But in this instance, this is just a little tear. This is going to be super strong, and the inside is going to give us all of the functional bonding we need, the mending. And so we'll do it on the inside so that we can hide that. It'll be a little less obtrusive. Here we go. So I'm going to place another piece of Polytex over the top of this repair. Bueno. I'm going to put a few paper towels on top of that. And again, for note, because we're not going to be able to see through the paper towels, I'm on the edge of this line here and just inside the line there, so I know, I think it's just off screen, but this is 4 inches and 19 inches on my craft pad. And I know I'm at 15, here is my bottom edge. So when I go to put my granite on here, I don't have to worry if my paper towels are perfectly centered, because I'm going off those grid lines. And that'll ensure that my granite is over the top of this page. All right, for those of you new to the channel, this is just a scrap piece of granite from a countertop project that I did. I just cut it and polished the other side, and I use that for an inexpensive, easy, convenient weight. This won't have a lot of water coming out of it because we didn't put much water on it, so I'll change these paper towels out as needed. Next time we'll flip this page over and we'll put all those front cover pieces on. That'll be a bit more satisfying, and we will obviously mend those in place as well, and this book is well on its way. So I hope you enjoyed my video today. If you're enjoying this content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend about it, and until next time, take care of one another.